Hi, everyone. Okay, so I received an email from the College of Social Workers, and it's interesting because the second that they asked for a response on whether I'd be attending, uh, sorry, I'm actually jumping ahead here. Um, okay, so last time, um, last time I posted in regards to the house situation, I believe, and what's going on with the courts. So I still have not been allowed to see the kids. I have not been allowed to see them since November 5th, 2022. I've been denied my right to family by the Manitoba government, by the Canadian government, because um, custody, family related issues are under federal jurisdiction. So the Canadian government literally is denying me my right to family. Um, because of that order, I have also been robbed of my family home, which we'll go into in depth in a later video. I urge everybody to take a look at my Facebook page because I have been posting a lot on there as well. Um, but getting back to the most pressing of issues is the issues surrounding the Manitoba College of Social Workers. Now, I want to point something out. So, back before the custody trial, okay, a federal judge, Justice Peterson, denied me. uh, I she denied me. An sorry, she denied me an adjournment. Now, I wrote to Chief Justice Joel. So why a pretrial judge was answering on her behalf, I'm not quite sure. But um, but she denied me an adjournment. Now, this justice had been discriminating against me the entire pretrial. But like there are so many things that I could tell you that went on that I will get into later on. Um, but for the moment, so in October, she denied me the adjournment, and she basically, well, she did say that if legal aid could not find me a lawyer in time for the trial, that I was going to be forced to self-represent, which violated my constitutional rights under 15.1 and 15.2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms Act. Um, Sorry, just give me a minute here. Huh, I didn't know I had that feature on here. It's a chat thing with somebody. Huh, interesting. Anyways, um, so getting back to the whole sorry, you know what? Whoever's texting me, I'm sorry. I will get back to you after I make this video. Um, that's an interesting feature. Anyways, so um, so here we have a Legal Aid Manitoba, who I applied and got accepted as a client back in May 2022. They couldn't find me a lawyer in time for the trial. Couldn't find or didn't want to find is now the next question. Because now the pretrial judge is denying me an adjournment, forcing me into a situation knowing that I have depression and anxiety, into a situation where is one of the most stressful situations any parent can endure is a custody battle, which indicates emotional abuse from the provincial and federal government. Um, so the trial goes ahead. I'm not allowed a lawyer, even though I'm on Legal Aid Manitoba, and there is there's legislation protecting people, um, to ensure that they do get a fair trial, which I was denied. Then I'm denied my kids because of the order that Justice Thompson put in place, who was the trial judge. Now I'm denied my kids for, well, since November 5th, 2022. I still haven't seen them since, and I haven't been allowed to speak with them since March 2023. I haven't received a photo of them, report cards, any sort of medical update, nothing. I have literally been cut out of their lives. Um, then then on the heels of this happening, now keep in mind this happened in October 2023. Then in January 2023, or sorry, it happened in October 2022. In January 2023, um, my daughter goes into hospital, and these nurses at HSC are refusing me access to my daughter. Now, I will be posting a video later on of the exactly what I'm saying happened. Then in February 2023. Now keep in mind, my daughter is I've just been denied access to my kids. I've been denied a fair trial. My daughter is now in hospital, literally fighting for her life. And now Maintenance Enforcement, another government agency funded by the Manitoba government, now robs me of every cent I had in my bank account, forcing my mortgage into default. Um, forcing my mortgage into default and putting a freeze on my account for literally months. Now, what this does is it puts my mortgage into default, and the bank then starts a foreclosure proceedings. So I'm literally being robbed of my family home. Um, this house was the last place I saw my dad alive. It was the place I raised my two oldest kids, and it was willed to me by my mother. And the Manitoba government is robbing it from me, and whatever equity was in it is being given to Owen Johnson. So again, I'm being denied a fair trial. I'm being denied access to my family. Now I'm being denied, or now I'm being robbed of my assets and things that should not even Maintenance Enforcement and the and any family related stuff shouldn't be able to touch, because under Section 7 of the Manitoba Property Act, inheritance aren't supposed to be anything that is willed to somebody or gifted to somebody. You should be allowed. It's not supposed to be included in family proceedings. But back in um, April 2022, that's exactly what Justice Peterson did. She put it in an order, uh, um, and conditions on my house, which should not have happened. It should not have been allowed because there is legislation. And this is something that I'm writing to the UN about presently, because the Manitoba government, the King of Courts bench, clearly is not following, they're not following legislation. So we have the leaders of our country, right? Justin Trudeau, um, uh, in Manitoba, it's Daniel Blakey for the MP, um, Wab Canoe for premier. Like these people are supposed to be putting in legislation. They're supposed to be our leaders. However, they are not. It is okay. So they aren't our leaders, really. I mean, they put in these legislations, but it's just a piece of paper. It's just words on a piece of paper, because once it gets to court, these words mean absolutely nothing, because when people are being denied fairness in a courtroom, they're being denied fair trial, they're being denied their Canadian rights, then whatever legislation, whatever guy not even guidelines, whatever legislation is being put in place by the leaders of our country, they're not being followed. So are they actually leaders or are they just faces of Canada? You know, that's something we'll be discussing as well. Um, because the leaders of Canada clearly are the ones running the courtrooms because they're the ones who decide whether the legislation is going to be followed or not. And when the legislation isn't followed and the supposed leaders of our country, being Justin Trudeau and Daniel Blakey and Wapkanu in Manitoba, when they don't stand up and say, "Hey, this is wrong. You're not supposed to be doing this. This it's in our legislation that we put in practice or we implemented," then those guys, they're not leaders if they're not leading. And I've got emails from them saying, not Justin Trudeau, but from Daniel Blakey and Wapkanu's office, saying they can't get involved in court proceedings. Well, okay, they can't get involved in court proceedings. So if you're making all this legislation and the courts aren't following the legislation, are you actually the leaders? Do you even have a hand in the running of the country? Um, I mean, and those are questions that are going to be that I will be discussing. And there's no easy answer. There's no um cut and dry answer to any of this because things can change. Maybe they didn't know, which is absolute nonsense because there's a statement and claim in. There is multiple emails that I've sent them. So, and I get the fact that they've have hundreds of emails, but when I've gone down to their office and I've said to them, "Look, this needs to be addressed," and or I've sent emails and I've gotten responses, then clearly they're aware, and they're choosing not to respond. Um, but getting back to the whole update. Um, so we got legal aid, who's funded from the Manitoba government, who essentially wouldn't give me a lawyer. Um, you've got maintenance enforcement, also um, funded by the Manitoba government. Now, from that, my house, Justice Ignace, decided to side with Access Credit Union. Now, we'll be going over the my affidavit in depth in the next little while. However, for now, um, I just want to say that I put in a complaint with Manitoba Human Rights Commission, and Manitoba Human Rights Commission is looking at dismissing it simply based on, um, from my understanding, based on Philip Chambers' letter to them saying that it's vexatious and frivolous and all this other stuff. Well, and Justice Ignace, it's interesting because Justice Ignace, um, see, I have yet to actually look at the order that she sent. Um, but based on no, I'm not gonna say that till I actually look at the order. But Manitoba Human Rights, they're looking at dismissing my complaint without even an investigation. So then I spoke with somebody at the UN. Yeah, I went to Geneva last week, and the whole purpose of the trip was to try and get guidance and some insight into human rights and how to try and navigate this whole issue. And I what I was told was to try the Canadian Human Rights Commission. So go above the Manitoba Human Rights Commission straight to the Canada Human Rights Commission. Well, I did that, and I have an email to prove. And basically, what I was told was that the Canadian Human Rights Commission won't do anything because Manitoba Human Rights has jurisdiction or something to that effect. So what that tells me now is that now I have to go above the Canadian Human Rights Commission back to the UN and say, okay, look, this didn't work. So can you help me with this? And they did tell me what to do in case, who to talk to, what department to go to in case that step didn't work. So that is my next step. That is what I'm going to be doing now. Um, Now, on the heels of all that happening, now going back to, my daughter being in hospital, the house going into foreclosure. Now on the heels of that, this and keep in mind, I'm a parent who has been denied access to their daughter after being notified that she was in hospital, might not make it through the night. Okay? And the nurses at the hospital won't tell me anything or very, very little. What they will tell me is talk to my sister, Elizabeth Miasga. And now Elizabeth Miasga is a conniving witch, as far as I'm concerned. Now, clearly she's not a witch. She doesn't fly around with a broomstick and a big hat and all this nonsense. But and you know what? I'm not a registered social worker anymore, and I don't really care. She is my sister. I will talk to about her any way I damn well please. She wants to sue me. Well, go for it. You can't get blood from a stone. Um, Anyways, so she, it- I have no idea how she got herself put on as my daughter's next of kin, but the hospital refused to tell me anything. And then they would only allow me 2 hours a day with my daughter who was fighting for her life in the hospital. Um, Now I know what Elizabeth was trying to do. She was trying to get me to talk to her, and I have no interest in talking to her, not after the crap she's pulled in the past. Um, and the emails that she sent me, it was clear she thought herself up here, me down here. So I'm not really interested in that kind of nonsense. Um, but what is interesting is that um, after I voiced a complaint to the College of Nurses in Manitoba, this one nurse, Holly Mulville, she Mulville, I believe. Um, she then turned around and contacted the College of Social Workers. Now, keep in mind, this whole situation is focused on family, my personal life. And this nurse goes to the college and says, "This person isn't acting professionally." Well, no shit, Sherlock. I'm not acting as a professional in this capacity. Acting as a parent, my personal life. I don't, I don't, as soon as I walk through the house door, my social work cap comes off and I'm just me. I'm just Susan Miasga. The designations behind my name mean absolutely F all because it that is not who I am. It is it is only no, that's incorrect. It's only a piece of who I am. Okay? That is who I am in my work life. When I go to work, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever. But the second I come home, you know, I'm human. I'm not going to go out uh, um and you know, I'm human. I there's you act professionally at work, but you know what? I don't see I don't see anybody professionally running around on the beach or mowing their lawn with a drink in their hand or whatever and getting paid for it because that's part of your professional life. I don't see a professional getting paid to take care of their children. Why? Because that is your personal life, right? But when a professional body such as the Manitoba College of Social Workers starts implementing things and tries to start penalizing you for your own personal well-being, for your own personal actions in regards to your family, where then does it stop? Where are the human rights with this to say this people can have a professional life and they can have a personal life? You know, for years people have been saying you've got to keep those two separate. As professionals, we have to, because first of all, you can't practice. Do you see doctors practicing on their kids or their parents or anything? No, because that's completely unethical, because you've got an emotional attachment, right? Your your ability to be unbiased is clouded because you've got an emotional attachment, right? It is why as professionals, you cannot engage in it in a profession it's why as professionals you can't engage personally in a relationship with clients, and and the same thing goes with family. You can't engage them professionally because you're too personally involved. So for this whole complaint to be even addressed is ridiculous. It calls into question the how ethical the college actually is, and um because I mean, like, how can they criticize somebody or penalize somebody professionally for something in their own personal life, right? um And we'll be talking more about this. We'll be talking more about this in the next video, because in the next video I will be uploading or showing all the documents that I received from the Manitoba College of Social Workers. I will also be posting a video that I took, and I took a lot of videos when I was in the hospital. Nobody knew I was taking these videos, but I took a lot of videos while I was in the hospital, and there's nobody in it besides the nurses and maybe my daughter's foot, I'm not sure. Um, but regardless, um, it shows what I was up against, okay? Now, I took a lot of videos. I'm only gonna show the most relevant, um, but it is interesting because, uh and I haven't posted them before because for one reason. I didn't feel that it was necessary. I made them for my own protection, just in case there were accusations like Holly Mulville is um, is creating now. And I do apologize to any nurses that were in this are in these videos. Again, I am doing this because my own professional career is under attack, and I will use whatever means I need to clear my name. Um, so that will be in the next video. Um, but you know, it is interesting. So we've got the we've got Manitoba Legal Aid, Maintenance Enforcement, Manitoba Human Rights, and now the Manitoba College of Social Workers. These are all Manitoba government funded organizations. All of them have either denied me services or have attacked me in some way. So, um, that is where things are at right now. I'm supposed to be going into a panel a hearing on the 14th of May. Now, I pretty much told them that I'm not going. I'm not. First of all, the Manitoba College of Social Workers, their jurisdiction literally is in Manitoba. Well, I was not working in Manitoba at the time these videos were made, and the time my daughter was in hospital. So it's outside of their jurisdiction, first of all. Second of all, I'm not going to be judged professionally on my personal life. I mean, that is just stupid. Um, and I mean, if the college is gonna criticize social workers for being unethical, and then they try to pull this, what does that say about their what does it that say about how, I can't even think of the right word, but it's just overall wrong. They're being hypocrites. That's the only way um that's the only way to say it, I think. I probably I'm I'm failing words that would be more tactful, and I do apologize for that. But they're they're basically saying that, you know, they 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 criticize there are certain social work, um, social work ethics, and they're not even following them themselves. So how do they expect social workers to when they refuse to themselves? Now I feel that I have been following them, um, but regardless, right now I'm not a member of the College of Social Workers in Manitoba. I'm not a member of the College of Social Workers at all in Canada. Um, and you know what? Honestly, I don't know if I want to be. I'm right now looking for work outside of Canada, because to be perfectly honest, I'm disgusted with how our country is being ran right now. And I love our country. I will, I, years ago, I actually, no, you know what? No, I'm not going to share that. But year, but the whole reason I'm doing all this is, first of all, so that my kids know what went through, and also so that hopefully eventually our Canadian human rights again means something, because right now in the courts, in in government funded bodies, our human rights mean absolutely nothing. At least that has been my experience. Um and I guess that's where I'm going to leave it right now. My next video will be I'll be posting the video of the nurses. And okay, so with that, I want people to um, pay attention to two things. First of all, pay attention to how long and um, okay, so in the video, it describes on how there were conditions with me. Now this video, I think this was the first time that I had seen my daughter after I was notified she was in hospital, and um she was in hospital, and um they didn't know whether she was going to make it or not. So considering the news I had just gotten, I think I was pretty damn composed. Um and these nurses would not give me full access to her. I was put on a time frame on how long I was allowed to see her. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Miazga and Owen Johnson, who's not even related to her, were able to have unlimited access. Meanwhile, the person who raised her until she moved out at the age of 20 was denied access to her. The person who went to every single appointment with her, the person who knew about her allergies, and if contacted, the Health Sciences Center wouldn't have given her a medication that almost put her, well, did put her in a situation where they had to medically induce a coma. Um, Now, sorry, I still get upset and kind of choked up when I think about what my daughter went through simply so that my sister could be on her power trip, and how she was able to manipulate the healthcare system to this extent and continues to, because this complaint wouldn't even exist if that wasn't the case. Um, and that's one of the reasons why she and I will never ever talk again. Um, anyways, so um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Watch for how long the nurses said I was allowed to see my daughter for. Also, watch the nurses, because they admitted to losing records of my daughters. Now, it's funny because um, my daughter went from ICU to a step down floor later on. This was later on in late February, I think. Um, but she went down to a step down unit, and my daughter was told that the records got lost in between the floors during transportation. They didn't get lost in between the floors during transportation. The ICU nurses lost the records. And this video is actually even evidence of that. Anyways, um, that's it for right now. I will be posting later tonight the video, and then tomorrow morning we will review the documents from the Manitoba College of Social Workers, and the public can be the judge on um, whether or not this is a professional matter or a personal matter. That is it for today. Whoever's texting or was texting me, I'll get back to you momentarily. Thanks so much. Bye bye.